So the other day, I was talking with my friends on the Audionautic stream, and we were discussing sourcing samples, where you can find them, and then what you do with them once you find them. So I mentioned one of my favorite instruments is a reactor instrument from Native Instruments called Form. This is probably one of my favorite ways to rework the samples and the loops that I use. So I just wanted to go through it with you guys for a little bit, show you some of the stuff it can do. So if you look right here, I have a sample already loaded up from some kind of cheap Casio instrument, but as you can hear, it's a pretty simple loop. So you can just load that loop in. Really easy. It's just a drag and drop interface. Grab your loop and just drop it in. So we can go down here to the curve editor and you see this. You can shrink the size of it. You can copy it, paste, insert left, insert left, insert left. We're going to go ahead and just do, what do I got? 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. So we're going to shrink my display here a little bit. So from here, what you can do is you can actually cut up the loop so you can only play specific parts of it. So let's just go ahead and let's just go ahead and shrink some of these down. I'm going to do that right there. We're going to do that. We're just going to play right around the end of it with this one. Okay, so now that you have your curve kind of set up, you can just and it'll only play out what you're doing there. We can set a loop. We can do free. So whenever you do free, it doesn't matter when you press the key or anything, it will play from wherever it starts on the curve, as you can see right here. You also have the option to just go forward, backward, or both directions. Anytime you want to just shake things up, just hit this flip right here. And that will actually flip your sequence of your sample right there. All right. So you can also set the sample length. You can do it in hertz. You can do it at BPM. Let's just do BPM here real quick, and we're going to slow it all the way down to 1/16. Bring that up a little bit here. All right. And then as you see, we have the shape up here. So you can change the shape of the curve on each of these. You can even change the actual curve itself. So we're going to go with that. We're going to bend it that way. Let's change this one to a triangle and pinch it right there. And then we're going to, let's just go with a basic sine wave there. Change the phase a little bit there. And then for this last one, let's just do a saw form there. And pinch that a little. And you can hear the difference where the curve actually lets the sound play. So obviously what we're getting here is pretty abstract, but we can still keep working with it and do some pretty interesting stuff. All right, so let's go over to sound here. You have a whole bunch of different options right here. So what I like to do is I like to turn on some of these. We're going to turn on the shaper, we're going to turn on the deform, and we're going to turn on the FM. Okay, so now the really cool thing, if you click on the tab right below it, you see you have these little boxes here. So we can actually assign any of these to a macro. So we're going to go ahead and just assign both of those to macro 1. And then we're going to assign this to macro 2. Okay. So now when I play it out, I can alter those can shift them in real time just using the macro. You can assign up to 3 variables to each one. And it doesn't necessarily need to be the macro. So let's take this deform here, and then we're going to go and we're going to attach that to envelope 1 here as well. Let's change this shape here a little bit. Yes. You also have this option here for additive oscillator. So what I like to do a lot of times is just pitch it down a whole, we'll just go with 5 here, and then change the waveform, and then turn the volume up. And that gives you a nice deep, like sub bass, kind of to go with whatever you're playing, giving you a whole new instrument. And quickly, we'll move over here to effects real quick. Let's go ahead and turn on frequency shaping. We can set the bands, the boost, change the center, the width, all kinds of fun stuff. Of course, you got warmth here, which is just kind of your distortion slash drive, built-in compressor. Yeah. And of course, you can either do it based on milliseconds, or you can snap it to the grid, so you get a tempo-driven delay there. And then, of course, reverb. I'm particular to the space reverb. So what you saw just there was just me kind of playing around, just throwing kind of a random sample in. You can always change out any sample, and if you have a gigantic library of samples, loops, and stuff like that, like I do, you can really use this to basically reform, revamp. You can turn an entire loop into just its own little synth sound. But this is where I get a lot of the weird sounds that I like to make. So, hope you enjoyed this quick little rundown. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think.